Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Filzen, and welcome to this edition of Connecting with Jennifer Filzen. Today, I have a fellow social media marketer, Natalie Klun, and she is thebomb.com. We connected through Susie Carter, who is my business coach as well as her business coach. And we have interacted. And what's really kind of cool is that when I first met Natalie, I discovered something that social media marketers are not all created equal. Not that one is better than the other, it's just that there are so many things that you can be a master in or a master of none. And we all have our specialties. And the more and more I get to know fellow social media marketers outside of the auto repair industry, I realize, oh my gosh, there is such a rich tapestry of skill sets. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about social media marketing for fun, but also too, just who the heck is this fabulous woman, Natalie, and what is she all about? So welcome, Natalie. Yay!
Oh, Jennifer, so much for having me. You mentioned we connected through Susie, and when you meet someone for the first time, but you feel like you've known them forever. That's how I totally felt with you. And you're absolutely right. Not all social media marketers are the same. It's kind of like you wouldn't go to um, a foot doctor to have your heart worked on, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? That's what I was thinking as you were saying that. I was like, yeah, no, why is it that social media people get all lumped into one category? I don't know.
Actually, I think I know why.
Yeah.
Because it's still an emerging industry, right?
Okay. Sure.
So
Yeah.
here's my guess. I mean, I'm not the expert of it all, but I've at least been around for a long time to watch social media through its evolution. I don't know if I remember telling you this, or maybe the audience has, maybe this, they know this story, maybe not. I started working in social media in 2007 when it
Mm,
just came on to the masses. So it was the dominant platform at the time was MySpace, and
mhm.
I was launching my music, and so MySpace was the dominant social media channel, and it was such a big deal because you could actually have videos. Prior to that, it was forums, little
Yeah.
chat forums, right? AOL, other things that weren't, they were like sort of social, but nothing to what we're used to
Oh,
now.
nothing. Oh, yeah.
And then this brand new thing called Facebook and its counterpart, Twitter, came online and it was available to the masses. And so I started using those three platforms to promote my music. And I didn't need a record label. I didn't need to worry about finding an agent. I could totally bootstrap it myself. I could use this brand new thing called social media. And I became so obsessed with it because as a professional, I was in marketing and sales,
Mhm.
and I had been my whole life. And I was like, ooh, this social media marketing thing is really a big deal. But back in 2007 and 2008 and 2009, as I am getting more and more into social media, people who thought it was going to be just a fad, that they didn't need it because they had the yellow pages, that they didn't need it because they had newspaper ads and magazine ads, and they had word of mouth referrals. I don't need that, Jen. That's a trend. That's going to go away.
Oh,
Well, guess what? Here we
God.
are, 2020. It's been 13 years since I started playing in this space, and it has evolved. In fact, when I'm teaching a class on social media, like the future of social media marketing, what's the history, where is it now, where is it going, I often remind them that I have watched Facebook back when it was an infant, and
Mm,
then toddler, and then a elementary school kid, then a high school kid with like the pimples and the gang. Now it has graduated from college and it's starting its own family. It is now maturing so much that
yeah.
it's like, okay, it's a legitimate major network that is superseding a lot of other
Yeah.
networks,
Yeah.
television included, right?
Oh,
2018 was the first time that uh, internet viewing surpassed television viewing. So I think what's happening for us is that like, because you're a little bit younger than me. I'm turning 50 this year. I'm so excited.
You are? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You look great.
Well, thank you. It's all the dancing that I do. I kid you not. It's the good air, it's the good food, and it's dancing and living a happy life, right?
Oh, I
I mean, I'm
love
getting paid to be a social media marketer. I get paid to be a social media butterfly. Like what? So yeah, it's my dream job. But
I
yeah,
love
I think that's why. Because again, back in like, again, like early 2000s, I know I'm dating myself. You're such a baby. Like I'm sure you're gonna have some great stories. But like I remembered my parents had their own electrical contracting business, and in 2000, I think it was 2000, I built their web page for them. It was like 5 pages, and I could do it all myself. It was such a big deal, and I was so proud of myself. Oh no, now I would not put myself in charge of building websites. I can write the content for those websites. That's my specialty. But as far as like that's, you no longer give it to the 16-year-old to, to do for you. So
yeah.
that's kind of what I think. But I don't know, what is your take on it? Because you are such a font of information, and I should just shut up and let you talk.
No, well, a little off topic. I didn't know that you were a singer or a dancer. Do you still like produce music? Do you like I didn't know that about you.
Well, here's the fun punchline. I did sink a ton of money into 2 albums. I
Okay.
qualified for 10 Grammy nominations on the first album, thanks to social media promotion, right? I wasn't sure if I like if it what happened to make me qualify for these Grammy nominations. I did not win. I did not win the Grammy. I qualified, but that's, hey, you know what? That's a big deal, right? Just to get into that whole pool of talent. And so when I came out with the second album, I was like, is this reproducible? Yes, it was. 8 qualifications for Grammy nominations. So I'm like, okay, the social media thing is working. But
Yes.
after I spent 5 years devoting a lot of money into a big, huge money pit, I
Mm.
decided to cut the bleeding. Now, the good news is that I did end up having a one-hit wonder. It's big in India, of all places. Bohemia is
Okay.
a Bohemia is like the Punjabi gangster rapper. He's like the Eminem equivalent over in India, and
Okay.
enormously popular. He and I had the same producer. He remixed one of my songs, "What Have I Learned," and he's rapping in Punjabi. So I have no idea what he's saying, but I'm singing the chorus, and good on him. And he invited me to sing backup on a Bollywood film, so you can hear my voice in the Chandni Chalk to China soundtrack.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I love that.
All thanks to social media. I kid you not, right?
Yeah.
So I know that you have some amazing things that you have done. Like you are a monster as far as like engagement and getting huge numbers of followers. And I got to tell you, you got me beat there because I'm so busy doing what I do, I don't have time to engage with followers. So yeah, oh, and I also dance. My husband and I teach West Coast swing, and we've been dancers for a long time, and we even got married in the ballroom that we met at. So yes and no. I'm still active, but not with the music. But I have the street creds, and that's why I'm rockstar marketing, because I'm a bona fide certified rock star.
I love it. I mean, it's such a great testament of the power of social media that you could be like, I was, qualified to be nominated for a Grammy, and I got picked up and was on like India's one of the like it's huge, it's massive. There's like, wow, that is so cool. And I love it. And then now you do social media marketing for the automotive industry. Like you have like so many layers to you. I love
you
it's so
know, you
cool.
I can't just be one thing. It's just too boring. I love to play in all kinds
Um,
of spaces because I don't know, I just get bored.
why not? Literally, why not? And you know what? I hope someone who's listening to this really takes away that there are these opportunities that you can create for yourself. You can literally be sitting at home, and if you have an internet connection and a device, which most of us have multiple devices, and you say, "Hey, you know what? I want to try this on. I want to have fun with it." And then they share it with the people that are in their network. You never know, right? Like that's the power of what we have access to right now. Um, and I love that. And I love that your story is such a testament to that. Like that's so awesome.
But enough about me. I usually want to focus on you, and I apologize. I got off talking about myself. I want to know what makes you special and unique, Natalie Klun.
Well, I don't know how to follow it up with like a singing
Oh,
and
stop it. Come
dancing.
on.
No,
How did you
I'm
get started?
so with you. Like I love what's the opportunities that social media provides to us, right? My background is sales. I did not set out to be a salesperson. My first job was a sales job, and then my next job was a sales job, and then I was living in Las Vegas, and I got into the financial planning world and was able to transition from an employee to a contractor. So to work for myself, I was like really excited about that. And then from there I was in the real estate industry, and so I've always been a networker. Um, sales is about building relationships. I resisted for most of my career the training and the tactics that they teach, that you have to have like this ultra aggressive ego that
Amen.
talks people into doing things. And
Hated that training. That was for transactional sales, not
oh,
consultative sales. Consultative sales is nicer and more and takes longer, but they're your friends at the end. And transactional is like, buy from me.
yeah.
Ah,
But in early 2000s, like when I was in my career, starting my career, well, I started in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And if you looked for sales training, it was mostly male dominant. um they would put you in these rooms. It's like they would throw you to the wolves.
yes.
And I remember one sales training that I went to. It was called prospecting school, where for 2 days you get on the phone and you just cold call, and they tell you bring all, and funny enough, I showed up with my phone book, right? Because the area that I lived in was kind of slow on technology, like how do you find people to call and those sort of things. So I show up and I've got my stack of papers and my phone book, and it was torture. And I swear, one of the coaches, he really honed in on me because he could tell that I wanted to. I think if he thought he took his eye off me, I would have ran out of the room. I would have like waited. I would have grabbed my stuff, and I would have, if I didn't, I would have had to take my heels off because I think I was the only woman in the training. And so he kept hovering around, and he would take his headset and plug into mine to listen to my call. Talk
No
about
pressure.
immediately just freeze, right?
Oh,
And I didn't resonate with the training. And it was actually at that sales training, though, he pulled me aside because he's like, I obviously wasn't making any appointments. I kept freezing up every time he would walk around. I was really flustered by the script. I just really, I resisted what they were teaching me to do. It didn't feel natural to me. It didn't feel comfortable. And so he pulled me aside and was lecturing me. And then he quickly found out that, yelling at me and lecturing me, also, I'm not going to respond to that either. Again, like what, shaming or yelling or trying to like
sword
force
tactics.
someone to do
The
something.
old era. Yeah, done.
And
I'm
that really
done with
is
those.
that old sales training. Yeah, right. But then he said something to me. He's like, you're here to help people. And at the time, this was early in my real estate career, you just happen to help people with real estate, right? And there was something about that where I had a total light bulb moment, and I went back to my cubicle area and I literally called everybody back that had hung up on me and was like, hey, and it's me again. Didn't go good the first time I called, but I'm just calling to help. And what I noticed is people just instantly, like, their defenses dropped, because no
Wow.
longer was I calling and following the script and trying to talk them into something, which was to schedule an appointment. I was just like, do you need help? And this is how I happen to help. And people just started opening up to me, and I ended up finishing that training, making more appointments than anyone else in the room. And some of them,
Oh,
yeah, right. And some of them were clients all the way through. I sold my real estate company at the end of 2017. Um, but they were clients of mine through the very end. And I remember going back to my office and saying to myself, I'm not going to follow these, because I had a coach and it was very rigid. It was very do this, do this. It's a numbers thing, all that stuff that they teach you. And I was like, every day, I want to find people who I can help. And I would set a number. Okay, do I want to find 5 people today? Do I want to find one person today? Well, I don't care. I just want to find one person that I could help. And I had no attachment on what that help looked like. What was so interesting is, and this was, as social media was coming on, so I had my ad in the paper that I would run every week and very consistent. And I stopped running that ad because I just was starting to notice like it's not working anymore. And I still had people calling me. I saw your ad. I was like, this is so bizarre. I'm not even running that. Can you help? Right? Or I had other agents, clients calling me and saying, can you help? And I'm like, you realize you have a contract with this person. Like I can't, like there's ethics laws that prevent, but they would come to my office and they would have questions like, when do I get to move in? Or um when what do I do with the utility? Like simple questions that obviously their agent should have been answering. And so I'd answer their questions and then I would tell them, go back to your agent. Um, and what it would end up happening though is when they had someone that they knew needed help with real estate, they would end up sending them to me because I helped them just by answering their questions, right? So I really shifted the way that I look at sales. And I personally believe that we all have a purpose and our purpose is the same. It's to help one another. And we just all have different specialties, different skill sets. Going back to what you were saying with social media, everyone has a different skill set on how they can help. And I believe very much in the power of using social media as a networking tool, as a tool to provide value, as a tool to build relationships. And unfortunately, kind of like the sales industry, there's a lot of bad information out there that tells people, oh, just use it as a personal billboard to just, spam people. And then they wonder why they're lacking relationships. So I'm actually a really big believer in you can have a small following. I actually prefer working with smaller followings where you can really go deep on those relationships and you're going to have far more engagement than if you had a massive following where you're just putting information in front of them and not taking the time to really see or show an interest if they want to build a relationship with you, right?
right.
So that's kind of the long story on how I got to where I got when it comes to social media.
Well, I am so impressed that you turned that frown upside down. If I had had someone being a drill sergeant
Oh,
to me when I'm trying to learn, that's an instant turn off. I shut down.
I
But the
do too.
fact that you internalize that you're here to help people, and then you went back and you made those phone calls
Yeah,
and you established, I mean, that is huge. That is huge. And I can see that you have a servant leader attitude, and that is why you've been successful. And then to like rise in your industry of real estate and then sell it and still have people chasing after you. That's cute.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
true testament that people are not ready for you to be done with them.
yeah. Well, and I think I believe very much in the energy that we put out, right? So think about, going back to the example with sales again. If you and we've all been on the receiving end of a sales pitch that that the person could care less.
Right? Reading, you can hear them reading from a script. Just
Yeah,
talk to me. Talk to me like a real person. Make that script sound like you. But actually, and then the robo calls that we get, and it sounds like a real person, and I can
Yeah.
hear them. I'm like, "Are you a robot?" And then they have to hang up as soon as you ask if they're a robot. They'll try to like blow it off, like, but
Yeah.
no, they have to hang up once you figure it out because they sound really good now.
Or even, like you think about when you go to buy a car, like they've trained these people to just not to just keep going for the close. Like you hear that term, always be closing, right?
A secret, I sold cars for 1 week. That's all I lasted. I hated it.
Because it's the training, like it's this, and I would say the same thing with the real estate industry or any sales training that I've had. And I think it is shifting, it is changing because people are being like, this just doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right. And so there's this energy exchange that you have with people. I'm a big believer in the same thing with social media. If you are just going through the motions of putting content out there just to put content out there, and you're not really taking it in, like what is it that the people that are connected with you want to know, from you or about you, or how can you like have these energy exchanges. Again, if you're just posting to post and people aren't responding, you have to ask yourself, you know can they feel it? Can they feel you? Can they feel that connection? And are you truly treating it as a relationship building tool versus just a way to bring a bunch of people in and then throw a bunch of information at them?
Right. Right. No, that's an excellent, excellent point. So to talk a little bit about what you're doing now. So you're no longer in the real estate world. You are focusing on social media. Tell me about that aspect of your life, because that's a big deal of what makes you special and unique.
Well, I think the crossroad that I came to at the end of 2017 was, so the market that my real estate company was in was a very volatile market. It was
And
connected to the oil. Huh?
where are you?
I'm in Utah.
Oh, okay,
So
Utah.
this area was connected to the oil and gas industry, so it was very cyclical. Um, so
Oh,
what's interesting is, like, in 2008, when we were having a real estate bubble burst, that market was actually doing really well because the industry was strong, right? That industry though cycles very often and very hard, and so I would say, gosh, maybe 6 years ago, when oil prices just literally dropped overnight.
oh, dropped overnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was, it's an international industry, right? So there's all of these other countries and components that are coming into play. So the market got flooded with supply, which instantly prices just fell overnight, right? And completely, my business was focused on economic development, community development. So I worked with a lot of developers and business owners coming in and building support around this community or around this industry, right? So literally overnight, my personal business died. And because I had been through about 3 of those cycles, I said to myself, I know what it's going to take to get through it. I couldn't force myself to go to the office. Like, it was so hard. And I actually held on to that company probably 2 years longer than what I should have. I should have let it go in 2015, right?
Wow. But you
So
know
I
what
made,
though? To be mindful of that and to say, you know what? My chapter is done.
Mhm.
Let's move to, but it's still scary. And how old were you when you decided to let this go?
well, I'm going to be 43 in October, so 40,
Okay, so
40-ish.
you're 40. So that's like, oh shit, I'm 40.
Right.
I have
Yes.
to
Starting
start
over.
over again. Yeah, I was when I started Rockstar Marketing, I was 39. Yeah, so it was like, okay, here we go. And you're right. We're about that age where we start assessing, like, am I where I want to be? How do I get to where I need to go? Time to pivot. And
Yeah.
so good for you. Good for you.
Well, and I said to myself, with technology, because I did at that point in my business, I had explored using social media and it had worked really well. And I had, all of these virtual tools. And, part of that company, we did property management. And like we had offsite properties like 3 hours away from where we were at. We were able to, have an on-site manager, but do all the managing things from a remote office. So I knew the power of being able to use the virtual tools. Like I'd experienced a little bit, and I really wanted to um, do that more because mainly my main motivation was I wanted to minimize the impact when things happened that were outside of my control. I'm like, okay, what can I do that I'm not affected by one industry, one market, one whatever, right? And
Right.
so started exploring and really looking at the opportunities that I could create for myself using virtual tools. So when COVID started to happen, I literally was having flashbacks, right? Like,
Wow.
oh, I'm so glad. Like I get chills talking about it. I'm so glad that I made the transition that I made and that I've set myself up that working from home was normal and but then my heart started to really go out to all of those people that were being impacted by having to work from home, having to, if you have kids, you're now,
Oh,
full-time.
these poor
Right.
parents.
Yeah. People who've lost their jobs. Like I just thought to myself, wow, what can I do to help those people? And so this year particularly with my business has been focusing on helping people transition to virtual and how can they run their business or work from home and do it, from anywhere. Most of us are home now, a lot of people want the luxury of having that freedom and flexibility to travel, and you can do that, and that was a motivation to me. But now the topic of conversation is how can you use these virtual tools to minimize the impact, because what's happened is so outside of all of our control, you know.
Right? No one could have seen this coming.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no.
2020 is it was my theme for 2020 in January as I'm like writing out my little theme and I'm doing my little vision boards. I'm like stretching into my vision, get past my comfort zones, focus on health, focus on growing my business. I had no idea it was going to deliver it up in the way that it has.
Right, yeah, yeah. And it's hard because I get messages from people who are like, I just found out that I've lost my job. Like I had talked to them like months ago about, because one of the things that I help people do with social media is I focus on optimizing social media profiles, how to make that memorable first impression. You have that one shot, right? So if you're networking, if you're in Facebook groups, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're networking and someone comes to your profile, it has to be very clear on who you are and what you're up to in the world and why would they want to connect and build a relationship with you, right? So optimizing social profiles, how to create value-based content that doesn't require a tremendous amount of time. You know how long it takes to create content. So
Boy,
yeah, we start with video and then I show them how to convert video into other assets like articles and text posts and image posts, all of those sort of things that you can use, right? But with the least amount of time. Or if, a lot of people that I work with, I'm training their admin, I'm showing their VA or their admin how to best support them when it comes to social media. Because again, like what you were saying earlier, all of people think, oh, I need a social media manager, or and they go out and they hire someone and then they're like, well, they didn't capture my voice. Like I had this conversation with someone literally yesterday. They're like, they created all this content but it was so off, like it was not me at
right.
all.
It needs to
So
reflect who they are as a person, what makes them special and unique, what is their why, who's their
right,
target demographic, all that stuff. You're right. You're right.
yeah. So really showing people how to effectively use social media in a way that captures their voice, and when I say their energy, and then having that support, that admin person, to be able to do what you need to do with all of this content or to create all the content. Or I do have some people that do it solo, but I've like said, I've had people that I talked to months ago and now they're coming back around and they're like, I just found out I've lost my job and
Oh,
now I need to do this. And I'm like, I wish they would have done it 6 months ago because they would have been so much further ahead. And hindsight, right? Um,
2020 hindsight. There's a lot of it going around. Yeah, you're right. Like, I completely concur. A lot of one of the reasons why I have partnered up with the auto repair industry, it was kind of by default. Like my very first client that is still with me 10 years later was an auto repair shop, still is Robert's Collision and Repair here in Monterey. He's now a Car Star auto body place, but he's still with me. And I love cars. I love the people. It's my tribe. I don't know how to say it. I can't turn a wrench to save my life, but I can write about brake repair like nobody's business. But the thing is that yeah, when I started working with them, I realized, oh my gosh, this is a recession-proof industry. Ding ding, because I started the business in the Great Recession, which was going to look like a blip, I'm sure, next to this, right? But yeah, when COVID was happening, I got all kinds of panic calls from my clients, like, "Oh my God, Jen! Oh my God! Oh my God! We're in shelter in place. Nobody's coming in. Oh my God!" And I'm like, "Okay, here's what we do." And we collaborated. I said, "Do I have the permission from all of you clients to share with everybody else in my network what our great ideas are?" And they're like, "Yes." So I came together with this Google document. I shared it with everybody I serve. Everybody. I don't care what they pay. I don't care what plan they're on. They all got access to it because we're all in this together and together we're stronger. So someone would come up with a really great email to send out to their clients about how they're going to provide concierge service, and it'll be a touchless thing, and they're going to sanitize the car, and they're going to sanitize the car keys. And like, it was just this beehive buzzing of like, oh my God, right? And we were just creating and just giving, and people needed a video. Okay, fine. We're like just giving, because it was like, I'm not charging my people extra for this. This is not what we're about. We're just going to get through this together. And I'm so proud of them, because they knew that because they had the social media marketing, they already had a lot of these things in place. They got the word out, and here we are, August. They're all almost back to normal or breaking records.
Right.
So they are pulling through it. They're not everybody, because there's some states that are still like, but since I work with everyone around the country, but you're right. Like, it's social media is affordable, it's easily accessible, it can reach everybody. And besides, I mean, come on, when we're bored, don't we spend so much
Everybody,
time on this thing?
yeah. Absolutely. And again, and I hear not only people saying I've lost my job, now I need to be in networking mode because I've got to find something, or I got to create an opportunity for myself. But I also hear a lot of people who come to me and say, I've known I've needed to do this for a while now, and they're now being forced to do it, right? And so I guess my big overall message would be, don't wait, do it now. Now is not the time to let off. Now is the time to put the foot on the gas and move forward. Find
Yeah,
that qualified support that can help you. There's a tremendous amount of information out there. I get it. It can be overwhelming, but you're absolutely right. It's free to be on social media. It's free to connect and have conversation with people, and it's a building process. But yeah, it's so necessary. And again, I'm a big believer in using it as a networking tool. And so when we say marketing, I really approach it, and what I feel kind of makes me different is I approach it from a networking perspective. Now, yes, you are creating content that's going to share with people with what you do, but it really truly is from a networking perspective.
right. And networking is huge, right?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you look at the really wealthy, the super wealthy, what is it that they own? Networks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I always say the quantity of your net worth is directly tied to the quality of your network.
Brilliant.
Right?
You come up with that one? That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, but it's true. You think about, and I reflect back on all of my when I'm working with clients, every client or every person that I have worked with, and anyone, I challenge anyone who's listening to this to really reflect on their clients and the relationships that they have with the clients. There was a building up process. There was a relationship building process. But I think what has happened with social media is they say like there's a 5% of people that you encounter are ready to buy. Like you just happen to show up at the right time, right? 5%. The other 45%, there's this 90-day, sometimes longer window, from day 1 to, day 90, that somewhere in between there, they're going to become a client, right? And then there's the other 50% that they're not your people. They're not, right? So how do you cultivate and build a relationship with the 45%, right? Yes, the 5%, you show up at the right time, sure. But it seems like everyone's going for that 5%, right? And so to me, taking time to get to know someone, oh my gosh, do not connect with someone and then send them a sales pitch. Please don't do that. No.
LinkedIn. Can we say all the salespeople on LinkedIn? Come on, get to know me.
Yeah, it's so bad. But you know what I love about that is it's an opportunity for me. I'll take their sales pitch. I'll set up a call with them without, because they always want to like get on the phone or whatever. And then I'll be like, hey, have you ever thought about approaching it this way? Because oftentimes it's just they've been told wrong, bad information. Do this, do it this way. It's like, no, 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 no. And most of them hate doing it and they're uncomfortable doing it. I've yet to meet someone that's like, I love pitching people. It's so much fun. Oh, they do because they're told that's what they're supposed to do. It's like, no, 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 no. Bad information. Let's get you good information, right?
Mm, good for you. Are you doing sales training as well? Because you'd be really good at it.
I do. Yeah. In fact, when I let my real estate company go, that was what I started in. What was hard with the sales training was there's two groups of people. There's the group of people that want the results, but they don't want to do the work. And then there's the group of people that get it, that are in it, that are focused on building relationships. So they need more high level support. And so when I went to that group of people and I said, because I love to write, I'm a writer. It's kind of like you're a singer and a dancer. A lot of
And
people don't know. Yeah, they don't
mhm.
know that about me. Like ever since I was a little kid, I was writing books and stories, and I surround myself by books. I'm a reader. I love to read. I love information. I love that. And so I'm fascinated with how to influence people with words, right? So I wanted to incorporate writing and do writing, and I published a book. I've done, a lot of that sort of stuff. So I went to these people, these that were in the trenches, as you would say, and I said, "What high level support do you need that would enhance or help you with your sales, like to set up your sales processes?" And every single one of them said, I need help with social media. And so then I got
Mm,
curious, and so then I started showing, because really the system that I have now, so it's called magnetic online networking. That system is just what I created for myself because content creation is so time consuming, and it takes you, it's like either I'm spending time creating content or I'm outsourcing it, taking the risk that I'm outsourcing it to the wrong person, or it's very expensive to outsource to the right person. And but so it's like trying to do everything, you bring on a VA and you still have to train them. Like there's just all of these holes, these gaps that I was feeling for myself. And so
mhm.
then when I started having these conversations, I was like, well, this is what I've done. Oh my gosh, can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? So really, I started this done for you service, which is now transitioning into a done with you version where I'm showing people, I'm walking people through on how to do it versus doing it for them. Still have
Nice.
that high level I call it the CEO influencer, helping CEOs and high level create these networking, nurturing assets, these relationship, these value based assets. And then I have the done with you, where I'm showing people how to optimize their profiles, how to create content, how to effectively network. Um, and that is part of sales. I mean, that is sales. That's, you're setting up your sales. If you do it right, um, you don't feel like you'll never feel like you're selling. If you do it right, like my book is called Taking the Sell Out of Sales. If you do it right, you will never feel like you're selling. I can't tell you how many times I'd be on a conversation with someone who's a potential client, and I'm always in the energy of giving, asking questions, finding out what they need. And they'll be like, well, yeah, let's do this. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, oh, yeah,
Yep.
let's
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Right.
I'm with you. I'm with you so much. You know what I love is like, so the whole beautiful thing about connecting with Jennifer Filzen, this whole thing, it was born out of COVID. It was my desire to connect with other people that I couldn't necessarily meet in person because of social distancing or whatever. But I am so loving this because, like, without me even asking, what makes you special and unique? Oh, honey, you are special and unique. You're fantastic. I can clearly see what your why is. Your why is to help others. You have such a beautiful, big heart. And then, who do you serve? My God, practically any business person that touches you, anybody that comes into your sphere. How do you find, or who is who do you serve in your life besides your clients? I should ask. You've got your clients, but then what about the other aspects, the personal aspects of Natalie? Who do you serve in that aspect as well?
Well, I've always been like, I think really big, right? That's just been something that's natural. So I have to find people, and my Susie Carter tribe, and people like yourself, and um, finding people that also think really big, that are like, okay, I love being a part of those communities, because I will say I've had experiences in the past, and I'll reference this to my real estate business. So I had other agents that would work for me, and I would train them. I'd be like, here's the deal. And what I loved is most of them would come in scared to death, because you're really going to work for yourself as an agent. You're an independent contractor. You get paid commission only. It's not like a regular paycheck showing up every 2 weeks or whatever. And they were, I mean, and it is, it's scary. Like I made that leap myself, but I promised them, I'm like, if you do everything that I show you to do, you will look back and you will be like, I wish I would have done this sooner. And never do you ever hear someone say, oh, I'm so glad that I waited, right? It's very rare, right? And so most of them would start and would make six figures in their first year, which is really unheard of in the real estate industry. But for them, it was life changing. But then sometimes, in some cases, I saw this happen a few times, where they started to self sabotage. So they would come out of the gate and they'd have this really great year. And then the second year would come in and it was like they literally stopped doing everything. And then there would be like kind of a conflict, like, you're telling us what to do. I'm like, no, I've seen you do it and I want you to do well. And so I had to learn to back off. And because everyone's on their own journey, right? Versus that, I want to cheer people on. I want everyone to win. I want everyone to do well. But I started to recognize that we have these limitations within ourselves. And most of the time, they're subconscious, right? Where you surpass that belief of whether you believe you can make, consistently make multiple six figures a year, and all of a sudden you find yourself doing it. If you're not doing that personal growth work to stretch you, like what you said earlier, stretching your vision, stretching outside of your comfort zone, it's like a rubber band. It'll like snap you back,
Oh, good one. Good
right?
one.
So I
Yeah.
saw that, and so I had to learn, because I took it really personal. It was really hard to see people do well and then go backwards, and then it was like there was this conflict, and I
Mm,
took it personal. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And then I was like, oh, I saw in them what they couldn't see in themselves, right? So sometimes I have to really assess, when you're with your friends or your family, if you're always showing up like rah rah rah, we can do this, they're like ew, like so. But then I find people like Susie Carter and go into her community and her tribe, and everyone's like rah rah rah, we can do this. I'm like yes we can, yes we can.
It's uplifting. Yeah, you're right. You have to, they say, birds of a feather flock together. It's true. It's like if you want to fly, hang out with the eagles who are soaring high, right? Of
Yeah,
course,
and
being a seagull is also kind of fun. You can still fly and you go around mine, 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 mine.
well, and I think for me, the biggest lesson out of that is being instead of being like the talent, like, oh, you should do this or you should try this, because sometimes we like again in our friendships or in our family, we're like, oh, you got to read this book. This is the best book ever, and they're like, oh, here we go. Here's another book. And what I had to learn is like, I'm just going to be an example. I'm just going to do me. I'm going to focus on me and obviously love and accept people for who they are. And if they are like curious or like, oh my gosh, what have you been doing? Then I can share and I can open up. So it's like when what's that saying they say, when the student is ready the teacher shows up. So different books for them or teachers may resonate with them on a different level. As to me, as long as everybody's happy and healthy, that's all that matters to me, right?
Mhm. Mhm. I get it. Wow, great stuff. So what advice do you have? Oh, sorry, the connection got a little funky there. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. It was just this like weird stop. But anyway, so I'm kind of curious if somebody were to be watching this and they're like, okay, I just heard from two social media marketing experts. What advice would you give as far as step one, start here? Like if you could give them 3 steps
Hmm.
to like take it and run with it, what would you say?
Step one, I'm a big believer in looking at who else they've worked with, and do you see like some parallels there, right? um, do have they helped people similar to what you're looking to accomplish? So I'm a big believer in really looking at their track record. It's easy to get caught up in what I call shiny object syndrome, and again, there's so many people and different ways of doing things and opinions and all of that, right? So, one, finding someone that you can really look at what they've done, their work, their track record, and can you see that for you? Does it connect for you? Also, too, like someone that really genuinely takes the time to get to know you, because especially if you're having someone do writing work for you, and you mentioned right at the beginning of this, and I think it's super important to point this out, is oftentimes people will go get a website and their website developer is like, yep, this, we can do this for you. And then all of a sudden they go to you and they say, okay, we need you to, what do you want it to say? Or they don't you don't realize that there's that other service, that professional writing, that copywriting service, that you could have the sexiest website in the world, and if the copy is not done right, you've wasted your time and your money. And
Right.
most web developers, they don't share that information, and I'm basing this off personal experience. When I, early on in this online venture stuff, going back with my real estate company, you'd hire someone to do your website and you're so excited, oh, finally this is done. And then they're like, okay, I need all of this information from you. And I was like, what? I feel like I'm designing the website because it takes so much time to put all that content together, right?
It really does. It
So
really does. They get bogged down into their own mire because they're overthinking it. You almost need somebody who's not attached because you don't realize your brilliance. Somebody else can see your brilliance and go, "Oh my gosh, that's such a big deal." And you're like, "Nah, it's not a big deal." And you're like, "No, really, it is. Let's write about it."
yeah,
So you're
absolutely.
right. It takes another set of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with social media. Is there's these certain formulas, these certain skills, like most people don't realize you have less than 3 seconds to capture someone's attention on social media. There are ways to set up your content that will do that for you. So finding someone that it's not just about, um, I'm not a fan or a believer in automating social media. Again, it takes your energy out of it. So I would say if someone's just wanting to like put a bunch of content together and automate it for you, that's probably like that to me would be a red flag. Finding someone that knows how to pull that voice and have that has the writing skills to help you accomplish what you're needing to do with social media. And two, I think the biggest thing is looking at social media as a way to build relationships. We've kind of bought into this myth that it's about volume and it's about, quantity, and I got to have all these followers. And so there's a lot of services out there that will lead with that. And I would say be very leery of that. You could have 10 really engaged people, and that would be far better than 1,000, 10,000 unengaged people, right?
Right.
So
Quality
it's,
over quantity.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. That is so true. Good advice. Good advice. Now, automation though, I will add this. I do a lot of automation because how else would you manage
yeah,
60 clients and all their social media? You have to automate, you have to schedule it.
yeah,
But like I always tell them, you guys can always add to the tapestry. If somebody in your team is having a birthday, take a picture of them with their birthday cake and add to the mix. It's like the stuff that I'm doing is the steady Freddy stuff. It's in the background that you can count on to always be going out X times per week, right? But then you can always add to it. You see something that is timely, you see something that is engaging. You're like, oh, I got to share this. Add it to it. So that way you've got planned and spontaneous together. It removes a lot of chaos. So that's just my 2 cents. But when you're managing a lot of clients,
oh
oof,
yeah,
I
and I
can't do
think
a lot of things on the same day. It's like, ugh.
and I think that speaks to what we were saying earlier. Not all social media managers, like your clients are it's different,
They're
right?
all different, right?
I would say your clientele, like the industry that you are serving, absolutely, like having that consistent, where my clients base is more service providers, right? Where they are in that true networking mode, where in the automotive side, it's more top of mind awareness, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
as
Exactly.
long as they're like prompted or trained, like if you're posting content and people do engage or comment and you don't engage and comment back, like, oh gosh, it's
You got to
you gotta be
gotta
engaging.
smile, like it, especially if they review you. Oh, this place is great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We love
Yes,
you.
show up and be a part of it. And then too, like a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of their visibility is not necessarily in the content that they're posting, but it's the conversations that they're having. Again, when someone says to me, well, I posted a video every day for a month and nothing happened. Well, my question always is, well, how often were you going and engaging and commenting on other people's content? Because there's two things that are going to happen. One, we know how long it takes to create content, right? And so the greatest compliment you can pay someone is go and engage on their content. Trust me, they will pay attention to you, right? They will be like, oh, and then if you're consistently showing up and doing that, right? And then that also tells the algorithms, hey, this person is active. So when they post their video, guess what? We're going to show it to more people. Again, it's just these things, these little tricks that you don't realize, but it takes work, it takes time. And for my clients, it's really important that they are active in it every day, that they're showing up every day. Yes, you can have the automated and scheduled posts, but I find by the time, for the people that I work with, by the time they've sat down and they've put all of that in, you take 30 minutes a day and you do your post and you do your networking, you do, or again, you have that VA where someone like yourself, you're managing a mass volume for clients. It's a little bit different. I get that for sure.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. But no, this is so great. Oh, Natalie, I'm so excited we did this. This is like,
Me
it's
too.
fun. It's fun. So, how long
Yes.
have you lived in Utah? Forever? Are you born and raised there?
I've lived in Utah off and on most of my life. Las Vegas is my adopted hometown. I went to UNLV. I love Las Vegas. I go, which I haven't been able to obviously this year, as much as I can. I am hoping this winter, because I'm not a winter person. That's so funny. I've lived in Utah most of my life and Colorado. Not a winter person. No, thank you. I'm not a skier. I'm not a snowboarder. I've tried. I will say I enjoy it around like Christmas time and like the cool, crisp air in the morning and the evenings. But come January, I'm done with it. I'm over it. So hoping to spend some time in Las Vegas this winter with my little Manny. Because too, when it gets cold, he's 16, so he gets to where it. I'm sure it probably makes him not feel as good. So we're gonna go to warmer weather.
Yeah, it's hard on the joints when they're
Yep,
getting older like that.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like, oh, I don't do cold either. I grew up in Florida and I out here in Monterey, and Monterey is cold enough. And like
Yeah,
Central
there's
Coast,
some
I
more.
love the water. It's in
Yeah,
the 60s, but that's about as cold as I get. I don't like it when it's actually frozen. No.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
thank you.
Having to go out and shovel the snow. Yeah. Again, it's hilarious. It's kind of the same thing on how I ended up in sales. I'm the least competitive person you'll ever meet, and I'm in one of the most competitive industries out there. I'm not a snowbird at all, or a snow bunny, whatever you want to call it. And I've lived in Utah and Colorado. So
That is so funny. That is so funny. Well,
yeah.
I appreciate you so much. This has been so much fun. I have visions of including you in like future virtual summits and such to give your perspective. So we'll see how that goes. But you have been amazing. I adore you. Thank you for playing, and continue to kick some butt out there in the social media world, Natalie. This is awesome. Good for you.
Thank you so much for having me. And anytime I could talk to you all day. It's kind of like the last time we talked. I'm like, we could be here all day.
I know, right? It's fun. It's fun
Yeah,
getting to know people. That's exactly why I came up with this
yeah.
connecting. It's
So
all about connection, right? You know what? And as a little caveat, that's exactly why I dance. West Coast Swing, which is what my husband and I teach and do and compete in, it's
that's
literally a connection, you know. I'm i'm on the other end of his hand, and one of the things that we miss the most about COVID is dancing is completely off the table. I have gained a little weight because I'm not dancing it off anymore, but like but like that connection, and when you can feel somebody else's energy, it really is that energy exchange. And so whether it's on the dance floor, whether it's online socially, whether it's through the phone, online, it's so important, probably because I'm such a social animal. I need interactions with people, and I live for these online meetings because I can't see people, in person anymore. I can't hug, but this is like a virtual hug, this whole like heartfelt wonderful conversation. So thank you, my darling, for the virtual hug.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. No, I love it. You're amazing. And I'm gonna look up your music, and do you have like your dancing videos online? Like I just love that these layers of you that I got to learn about and explore. So it's so amazing. I love that.
Certainly look it up. You'll find that my music videos are cheesy as hell. Like I thought I was being cool and like awesome, and then like I look at them now and I'm like, oh, they're so cheesy. Like, grab the spray cheese because that's how cheesy it is. And then here's another funny thing that's hilarious. We were talking about, you've got your clients are like, well, I posted something once a day every month, and or for a month, and like, why isn't it going on? Well, let me tell you, I myself am figuring out what content is doing best. And you're gonna
Yeah.
laugh. So we've got this connecting with Jennifer Filzen. The numbers, whatever, probably because it's an hour-long format, and most people are like, I don't have time for that. But that's okay, because this is meant to be a true connection. This is designed for people to grab a cocktail and join in on the conversation, even though they can't speak to it. we're like a group of friends gathering, right? Then my
Yeah.
husband and I also have marriage plus business, and we sit down every week and we talk about, what it's like to be married to each other, to live under the same house, to work together, like to dance together, and we are really happy. We're not putting an act on. and,
I
and
love
so
that.
we talk about that. Sometimes we'll have other married couples and like, how do you guys do it and that kind of stuff. But the thing that is performing the most, you're gonna laugh. It's our dance videos.
Yay.
So we've converted our garage into a dance studio. We've
Yes.
had that for years because we teach private lessons, right? And Renee will put a song on, and I'll be like, I have to dance. Like, when you hear a song and your
Yeah.
body just like,
Yeah.
I got to jam to this, right? And so on our Facebook pages, and I think he's finally starting a YouTube page with it. But anyway, Renee Ariola, Renearreola. That's my husband, and he'll put it on his Facebook page, and then he'll put it on mine as well. You can find me. But our dance videos are so engaging. Like, first off, we're not talking. You might hear me laugh, because he'll do something funny. But what's I find interesting about it is he's also doing a lot of video stuff. He's a graphic designer. He's also a comic book artist. So he's using his unique artistic skills to make them kind of fun or funny or engaging video wise. So it's fun to watch. And the one video that has gotten the most views thus far is we just recently celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. So in the video, you'll see our original wedding dance, and then you'll see us doing same
Oh,
clothes. We're in the same clothes, and we are dancing to the same song, different dance, but like we're doing the same thing. So that
it.
has gotten a lot of hits. So have fun with that. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like, you just never know what's going to perform. I think that when I'm talking, people are going to want to listen to me. No, it's when I'm dancing.
Well, probably because like if you really love that and you're like it really fills you up. Like people can see that, and so they're drawn to that. They're attracted to that. They're like, wow, I want what she's got. I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm totally gonna check out your videos.
Have a good laugh on me. We're all doing
Oh,
this for fun. We're all doing this for fun. And I think that also is part of the secret, isn't it?
mhm.
When you're networking, when you're engaging, when you're connecting, and you're doing it because you love it,
Yes.
that's the magic. I'm not doing this for pay. I'm doing this because I love it. I love connecting. And you're absolutely right. And so when you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work. We know it is work. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Have
you don't feel like you're
fun.
working a day in your life. Yeah.
Exactly. Have fun. Be yourself. That's what people want, anyways. Right?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I know I have to wrap this up, but I'm having so much fun. All right. Thank you so very, very much. I adore you. And thank you for playing. I appreciate it. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Jennifer Filzen. You have just enjoyed an hour's worth of Connecting with Jennifer Filzen featuring the fabulous Natalie Klun. Natalie, how do we get a hold of you?
Social media, find me on Facebook. It's just, my name, Natalie Klun. It's Klun. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Send me a message. Let me know that you listen. Like, again, I like to connect. I'm very approachable. Like, yeah, just connect with me on social media.
And you're here to help.
Yep, here to help.
Awesome. All right, sweetheart. You have a beautiful day. We'll catch you on the other side.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.